Welcome to Three Dudes and a Lady. Join us for a little motivation, a little inspiration, and perhaps a way to cope with your day. I am Mike from Virginia. My gratitude this morning is for changing seasons.
Hi, good morning, folks. My name is Earl Rule, and I'm from the beautiful state of North Carolina. And my gratitude is this morning just waking up knowing that my team, the Carolina Hurricanes, won a victory in double overtime last night.
Hooray! Good morning, everybody. My name's Jay Anderson from the wild, wonderful state of West Virginia. My gratitude are the people on this panel. What a great way to have good friends.
Hey guys, I'm Christine Wright, hailing out of the great state of Florida. My gratitude today is for life insurance and the many ways it can be used. Um, so today we talked about intentionality with Jay Shetty. He was talking about how we make 90% of our decisions on autopilot. If we add intention, it gives us direction to the choices we make in life. He told us a story about when he was in high school. He had an art teacher, and I guess art was his worst subject. And I guess the teacher would go around and look at the student's work and ask the student why they chose those colors, right? He was pushing the students to be clear of the choices that they were making, right? And by the time he graduated, art had gone from being his worst class to his best. Not that he became a better artist or anything, it's just the instructor, right? The way the instructor taught him. Um, when we ask why, it's like turning on the light in the dark room, right? We have vision and direction. It also ensures we're driven with purpose, right? We Are we living our life on autopilot? Why is an opportunity to make sure our actions are aligned with our vision, right? So he was saying pause and ask yourself why. Like, why am I having cereal for breakfast? Why am I getting coffee? And why am I using this coffee shop, right? Uh, we need to go deeper to become more deliberate about our choices. And asking yourself why gives you back control so you can move forward with intention, right? This is a really good one. It's hard. It's really hard, right? It's really hard to like ask yourself why you made decisions on whatever it is, right? It could be simple. Like he asked, why are we here right now in this morning? Like what led us to here, right? But thinking about it in a deeper level, it's hard to just come up with an answer, right? Because he was saying, like, when he was an instructor or when he was in art school, he was talking about how he would say that because the colors are cool. Well, that wasn't a good enough answer, right? So we need to go way deeper, but it's really hard. Like, I guess journaling emotions, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it's hard uh, because when the event of whatever's taking place is going on, your emotions are already in a certain area, but a perfect time nonetheless, if it is that you can remember, wait a second, why am I feeling this way? I want to punch the heck out of this computer screen. What? Wait a second, how come I'm feeling this way? You know, and it's just one of those things. It's hard because the emotions are already there.
And
Can
we have
you
to
wrap
pause.
can you wrap that and pause for a second and say, why am I feeling this way? And I think sometimes when the reflection comes about on the why or the why do I feel this way, it's not as big as what you thought it was in the first place, maybe. And maybe that's kind of the what he's suggesting. Sometimes you know, and I agree, 90% being on autopilot, I can see that. You're driving down the road, your local town, and you're heading to a store that you know the route very clear. Do you think about the route when you're driving? You wonder why wrecks happen all the time? Because that mind is wandering. And anybody that sits there and tells me, oh, I pay attention fully 100%, I'm concentrated on the road and the cars and vehicles around me, I call bullshit. But a great topic nonetheless.
Yeah. And you're right. Like we are definitely driven on autopilot. Go ahead, Earl. Did you want to add something?
sometimes we wake up with a vision. Something in our dreams triggers us to go after something. And a lot of times it can either be in our personal life or in our career slash business. Sometimes we wake up with ideas out of the blue, and it's our responsibility if we want to take that initiative to be intentional to what it is that we want. And I think in most cases, there's going to be trial and error. You want to try something out that you feel that it might work. You have to do that. And I think in any case of career, whatever it is that you're doing. And if it works, stick with it for a little while. If it's not working after a certain period of time, then maybe it just wasn't the right idea or we're not doing something right. So I think it's something that we have to observe outside the box a little bit. I mean, on the outside looking in to see what we're doing. Because if we're being intentional, whatever it is, like the four of us here, we're all in the insurance business. We have to be intentional with our business of what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong. And and no 2 days are the same, but you have to balance yourself out to see what it is that we're doing. Make sense?
Yeah.
I think there's another component that intentionality brings.
Yep.
And it's probably one of the hardest components in intentionality. Intentionality brings self-accountability. I think. I feel
Yes,
like it does.
Yeah.
So that's a hard thing for a lot of us to deal with, is the self-accountability portion of it. And so sometimes intentionality is ignored because the reality of that.
And Jay, we have to be accountable for what we're doing. If we're you're right, accountability is one thing, because if we're not doing what we're saying we're doing, we're not being intentional to what the direction of I like to use the word the bullseye what we're going after. Because accountability should be number one, because you have to be accountable in yourself, whether it's the right thing or the wrong thing, because like I said at the beginning, trial and error. Right? So we have to analyze it ourselves to be accountable first, and then to move forward. Mike, did you have anything?
Yeah, I would. I like what we just said about accountability, because we're talking about being on autopilot, and
Hmm.
how many times have we been on autopilot unintentionally? And every day you look back like, what happened? What did I do? Nothing. Nothing of well, you do nothing, but nothing of value, right? Are the two questions that just get edited?
Yeah, yes, you did by accident, not intentionally.
Right?
Oh, the fun part about intentionality.
Yes. So what were the two phases of accountability?
Christine, what's your feelings? How do you wrap your hands around this?
Well, I want to go back to what Earl was saying about accountability. Because, okay, so like if we say we're going to do something and don't do it, how often does this happen to us? That
The self-talk.
yeah, the negative self-talk, right? So then
Right.
that puts us in a spiral going down, right? If we're not intentional with our day or with whatever we're doing, there's going to be some negative self-talk, no doubt. There is.
And another thing to add in there, Christine, I think is posture, how we posture ourselves in that, because that's another element that people don't look at or think about until maybe after the fact. Because Accountability should always be number one. You have to be accountable for your actions and how you are intentional of how you do things.
For sure. Yeah.
I know there are for me, and I'm going to use me, so I'll be transparent here. My calendar is a resource for me that I can be so hit and miss with. And I can be so up and down with my emotions because of my calendar. And I can look at it in one day and I'm looking through because on my calendar are my to-do lists. Okay. I have decided to go ahead and put that on there, hoping that it would force or be more intentional to pay attention to those things. And sometimes at the end of the day or the next morning, I pop up because I'm trying to look into it, and I say, "Drats, man, I didn't do it." And then all of a sudden, I feel I feel different. I feel like I let myself down.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Letting
And then
others
does that
down,
spiral?
letting others down may be one thing, but letting yourself down, that to me was no different than growing up when parents were maybe harsh on you and you thought that they were going to whip your ass. But in reality, they said, that just hurts me. And then they walk away. Whoo, son, that was worse than any spanking or whatever I got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of how I feel about it. When I let myself down, and that's where self accountability comes into play, Earl, is when you feel that you've left yourself down, what what's your reaction?
There's one thing I want to add in there, Jay,
Sure.
and it just came to my mind. Patience. You have to have sometimes it's better said than done with some people. Some people have no patience in that. I think you have to be patient with yourself as well as being intentional. Sometimes you do have to take 2 steps back to take 4 steps forward. Okay, you have to be you can be a critic on yourself, but as long as it's in a positive direction. Don't let the self negative self talk get to you, but having that patience within yourself to take 2 steps and say, okay, is this working for me? If it's not working for you, why? Because if you don't have the patience in yourself to slow and steady wins the race with some of this stuff, I think that's a key element. uh Jay, what do you think?
How do you want me to follow that?
I think what your calendar does, it makes you aware of maybe that task needs to be done. It didn't
Right.
rise to the top of a pile of priority, but if you had put it on a
With what you're saying
But
there, keep going with what you're saying there, Mike, because you're heading in a
yeah,
very
I,
good
I do
direction.
the same thing. I have things on my calendar that I know should be done. Do I always get to them? Do I always start my dial sessions when I say I will? Maybe I'm half hour late. Maybe whatever for a reason that doesn't happen at all that day. Uh, but if they were not on my calendar, they would get lost in the shuffle. Calendar's going to be there tomorrow, and I look at it, a week at a time.
But
And
once
and
it gets lost in that shuffle, do you really want to go searching for it? That's
and
but
that's
then
where
you,
self discipline comes into effect, Mike.
yeah,
Because throughout the day, there's 2 things that should be very important. Your Google Calendar, because you really should have your Google Calendar filled up, whether it's dials, whether it's interviews, whether it's production, whatever it is. I don't care if it's lunchtime, go to the gym for a workout, whatever it is, having that count. And you could have your to-do list of anything extra that's added to it, but it's important. Don't let that interfere with what's on your calendar. Because if you're setting your week for that calendar, you're being intentional of what it is that you're doing, and ask yourself, okay, am I moving in the right direction? Don't let it be negative self-talk, but analyze, is it being productive that's going to get you through your day. Because if you're saying you're going to do something, are you doing it?
Well, yeah, and think about when we make the calendar. So when you guys make your calendar, where are you? Do you do it in the morning of each day? Do you do it at the beginning of the week on a Saturday or Sunday?
See,
Like how, so like it depends on when you're making it, because think about it, like when we're making our calendar out for the week, to be
Mhm.
successful, are we making it with emotions that aren't there yet? Or are we making it with a clear mind? We're usually making it with a clear mind. But the day that calendar hits, right? Okay, this is my dial time. And then we don't do it. And then we let ourselves off the hook. Guess what's going to happen every time that it becomes our dial time? We're going to continuously let ourselves off the hook because we've done it in the past and nothing happened, right?
It can bring
Or
out emotion, Christine. But the thing is, when you make out your calendar, you got to do it from a logical point of view. You
Exactly.
have to go right. What it is that's important. You can't let the emotions get in the way of what you're doing on your calendar.
But
You
on
have
a
to do
daily
it every.
basis, the emotions will be involved.
Oh, it will
oh yeah,
get involved. But that's the hard
That's why
part.
when you do it ahead of time, pre-planning, your emotions
Mhm.
it's unfiltered. There's no
Oh,
filter
right.
for the emotions.
Because it unleashes, you're like, and you have to learn to unleash yourself to say, okay, I need to fight and get through this. I need
I need to
to
do
read
this.
this to myself. Right, exactly.
Mhm.
here's the other thing. If you consistently don't do something that's on your calendar at the time you put it, move it. You put it in the wrong space.
Yes,
Boom.
exactly. You did. You definitely put it in the wrong space. So maybe your logical brain wasn't thinking about that when you were making the calendar out, right?
Right. If you say you're going to do your dials in the morning, like later in the week, and you don't do it, move it toward the evening. If you know that something has to be rearranged on your schedule, go ahead and do it. If it's that important, you can always alternate because maybe that person you didn't get a hold in the morning, you can get a hold of them after work. And then that becomes productive, and you can be proud of yourself saying, okay, if I need to make that little change, that can make all the difference in your day.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is why this platform is so powerful. When
Mhm.
one can be transparent and then it turns into and sparks into conversations that can be so resourceful down the road. We're not licensed therapists. I think it's pretty obvious to see. You know, there's nice certificates behind Mike's head. They were for probably, what is it, banking, or what do you got back there on the wall, Mike?
My diploma from the University of Virginia.
UVA grad. So we're not talking those small cookies here, okay, folks? But we are not licensed therapists. I will point out to you that we do listen to that Calm. Within Calm, we listen to Jay Shetty. And man, does he bring the best out of us. At least we think he brings the best out of us. And really, that's all that matters. We just hope you enjoy the content.
And I hope people will come back. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe for more of this content, and please come back for more. We'd love to share with you. Have a great day, everyone.
Deuces.
Peace.